Hey guys, Movie Junkie for Life here again, and this is going to be my review of Life, directed by Daniel Espinosa and starring Hiroyuki Sanada, one of my favorite Asian actors, Jake Gyllenhaal, Rebecca Ferguson, and Ryan Reynolds, just to name a few. Life tells the story of a group of astronauts slash scientists who have discovered a life form from Mars. And in studying this life form, they find out the hard way that not all life is going to be friendly. So, what did I think about this movie? Well, first of all, Life is a movie that I didn't know much about going in, other than I heard that it had been heavily influenced by Aliens, Ridley Scott's Alien. And that being said, I didn't want to know anything else going in because I find these days trailers tend to give away so much that they kind of spoil the movie for you. I did, however, see the 5 minutes, I think it was about 3 to 5 minutes intro when I went to see Ghost in the Shell. They showed you just a bit of the movie and it looked really, really good, made me want to see this film. So, what did I think? Well, let's start with the visuals. Life is set in a type of not should I say a type of, but in space, of course, right? But in one of my favorite space horror type settings, which is a space station, middle of nowhere, that sort of thing. And I really love that. A couple of my favorite horror sci-fi films, besides Alien, is Event Horizon and 2001 A Space Odyssey. And this movie, I feels, is not, I wouldn't say it borrows from, but it's definitely inspired by those films. And that works. Space, isolation, there's nobody coming to help. That always lends to tension, and it definitely does that here. The visuals are really well done, and one of my favorite aspects of this movie was the look of the alien life form. It develops over time, let's say, so it keeps changing in the way it looks, and I thought it was a really original design that you could tell was inspired by certain earthly life forms. I won't give it away too much. But it definitely looked really cool, and in considering what its abilities were, it was very awesome. It's very awesome. I don't want to give away anything, like I said, although I will be getting into spoiler territory at the end of this because I really want to discuss some stuff that I noticed and what I think this movie might be about. So yeah, the visuals were awesome. The cast is an A-list cast. Some of them I don't know, but I'm definitely looking forward to seeing more from them. For instance, the scientist who, I can't remember his name right now, but the scientist who, he was the one in charge of watching this life form develop and figuring out what it was. He has a very integral part to play in where how this life form develops and what it does and what it becomes, and he does a wonderful job. Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds is a guy I love no matter what. He definitely is more Ryan Reynolds in this than he is his character, but he works. And Jake Gyllenhaal and Rebecca Ferguson also turned in really good performances. I will say this though, I wish they had developed Jake's character a bit more. Hiroyuki Sanada, I wanted more of him too because I'm a huge fan of this guy. The first movie I saw him in was The Last Samurai. But I wish I'd learned a little bit more. We do get background on most of them, but not all of them. But what they do give us, it works. These actors are stellar actors. They know what they're doing, and they definitely turn in strong performances here with what they were given. Um, let's see, I'm looking at my notes. The story. The story is not one we haven't seen before, but it's definitely developed in its own way. They do have its own originality going on, and that was really good. This alien life form, I I really enjoyed it. The alien itself is almost a character upon itself. It's not just this mindless life form, and you begin to realize that, and you're wondering how come they're not realizing it a little bit more. But it definitely adds to the tension and certain things that this creature does. It's more it's not just about survival. There is an intelligence there, and I really liked that. I like that this just wasn't just a mindless killing machine. This thing had a purpose, and you'll see what that purpose is when you go to see this film. So Life overall definitely was a movie I enjoyed. The tension, I wish it does develop, but I wish it had developed a little quicker. I do feel like most of the tension is in the middle to final act of this film, especially the final act. It does take a while to get going, but when it happens, it happens. And that's the battle of wills between these people and this creature is really fun to watch. Just to watch them try to outthink each other, so to speak. So life overall, I did enjoy it a lot. I don't think it's how should I put it? I don't think it's on the level of a movie like Aliens, but it's definitely a film that you'll see and you'll enjoy. Like I said, I wish the tension was ramped up a bit. It does take a really long time to get going, and for a movie like this that is supposed to be, I guess, like a sci-fi thriller, I didn't feel that tension as much as I wanted to, but I did enjoy this movie, and I recommend seeing it because I think it's a movie that has a lot to say. So overall, guys, I'm gonna give Life a 6.5 out of 10. It's playing in cinemas right now, so you can go check it out. I think if you love sci-fi horror, you definitely get a kick out of this. It's not horror, but it definitely has some scenes in there that will make you gasp, so to speak. Okay, guys, so I'm gonna get into some spoiler territory here. So if you don't want to know my thoughts on this, you can just switch off. um, Taking a look a little deeper at the meanings or the ending, especially of this film, life, the life form that they find that they call Calvin, I did notice some things here. First of all, Calvin never attacked the crew until he himself was attacked. And I thought that was a really important thing to notice because as human beings, we tend to fear what we don't understand. We tend to want to push the boundaries of things that we don't understand. And I get that. That's what scientists are there for. They are there to learn, whether or not that is to the detriment of life on Earth. That's a whole other story. For instance, there is a scene here where Calvin goes into a form of hibernation, and the scientist who's been working on him, he kind of starts to get annoyed. He starts to get upset, actually, that the creature is no longer responding to him because he's formed a sort of bond with Calvin. So what does he choose to do? He takes a little electric prod thing and he shocks Calvin to stimulate him, to force him to wake up. And this is where things start to go wrong from that moment. Before that, Calvin, I think, was maybe studying them, maybe trying to figure out if these people, this life form, us, was a danger to him. And he didn't attack, or it, if you want to call it that. It didn't attack until it was attacked. And every scene that comes after that, I feel like that happens. This creature was just trying to survive. And in looking at it from that point of view, you have to wonder who is at fault here. Because there's a scene where Rebecca Ferguson's character says she knows it's not scientific, but she hates Calvin because of all the crew that she has lost prior to this. Every time they try to outsmart him, he outsmarts them. But everything Calvin does is to survive because that's what life does. Life is all about trying to survive. It's survival of the fittest. Maybe we are not the fittest in this case. They're also wondering if maybe this is a life form that caused the destruction of Mars, but that's a whole other story. There's a rat that they keep in the lab, and the director, the camera, keeps pivoting to that rat as it pivots back to the human characters, and I almost felt like that rat was a reputation of those characters because I don't think they realized they kept underestimating the intelligence of Calvin. And I think the rat was there to kind of symbolize that we were the ones that were being experimented on, so to speak. Calvin was trying to study us as much as we were studying him, trying to figure out our weaknesses and our strengths. And to me, that whole scene with the rat, there is a point where Calvin gets into the rat's tank and he's just looking at the rat. He's actually kind of mimicking the look of the rat, but the rat snaps at him. And then we see Calvin destroys the rat. And that this is a theme that continues through the movie where he responds with violence only when he's been attacked. So I thought that was really pivotal and really important, you know, because it's just kind of what we do as human beings. You know, when we cannot control something, we try to force it to submit, and there can be repercussions to that. The ending of this movie as well shows where again they underestimate. We as human beings like to think we are the intelligent life form, you know, the only real intelligent life form. And Rebecca Ferguson's character and Jake Gyllenhaal's characters have figured out that what they're going to do is they're going to trick Calvin into entering a life pod on one side of the ship, and she goes to the other side. So Jake will take him out into space where he can't do harm, and she will get to Earth and report what has happened, what has went down on the station. The movie ends by showing us that the opposite has happened, and Jake ends up landing on Earth while Rebecca gets launched into space, and you wonder, how can that happen? I believe the entire time they were planning this, Calvin had already thought of it. He already thought of the fact that all that was left are these life pods, and this is probably what they were going to do. Like I said, I believe he had been studying them. He'd been studying their relationships, the way they think, and I think he knew exactly what they would do, and therefore he himself set a trap. And they are the ones who are thinking that they are the ones controlling the situation, when in fact this was Calvin's plan all along, because some people theorize that Mars was once like Earth, and therefore it's being said in the film that Calvin needs oxygen to survive, so he definitely wants to get to Earth. So I think that all the time that the scientists think that they are in control, they never really were, and that Calvin planned all along to have this happen so he could get to Earth, and his kind, if he could, I don't know, maybe he's asexual and he can reproduce on his own, would get to Earth where he would be the one to flourish and he would become life on Earth. So that's my theory as to this movie, and I kind of just wanted to share that with you guys. I would love to hear what you guys think and your theories on this movie. And again, I give Life a 6.5 out of 10. So that's going to be it for me, guys. So until next time, bye bye.